It was a calm May morning in Washington 2025, but inside the White House, tensions were rising. Donald Trump, in his second term as president, was about to make a decision that would become the biggest political blunder of his career. In a meeting with his advisors, frustration poured from Trump as he slammed his fist down on the Oval Office table. "This African kid is causing too much trouble," Trump grumbled, glaring at the notes on his desk. "First, he kicks out our agents, and now other African countries are starting to follow his lead. We need to shut him down." Steve Bannon, recently reinstated as a strategic advisor, leaned forward, suggesting a bold approach. "Mr. President, why don't you invite him for an interview? Show the world who's really in charge." Trump smiled, a sinister glint in his eyes. "Brilliant. I'll humiliate him on national television. Show America won't tolerate disrespect from some little African dictator." A call was made right away. "Ibrahim, my young friend," Trump said, trying to sound cordial but failing. "How about a live chat on Fox News? We can clear up some misunderstandings between our countries." On the other end of the line in Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traoré was calm. As the call ended, he secretly recorded the conversation. "Of course, Mr. President," he replied, his voice smooth. "It would be interesting to discuss American-African relations publicly." Trump, confident in his ability to control the narrative, agreed to the debate format, a live interview moderated by Sean Hannity. He was sure it would be an easy victory, a chance to show the world just how irrelevant African leaders really were. But Ibrahim was preparing for something far more explosive. "Dr. Ouedraogo," Ibrahim said. "After hanging up, Trump has just walked right into the perfect trap. Prepare all the documents we've collected on him. It's time to show him the consequences of his arrogance." The room was filled with tension as the preparations began. Ibrahim had spent weeks collecting evidence, ready to expose Trump's deep-rooted racism and manipulative political schemes. "Are you sure this won't cause a diplomatic crisis?" the minister asked, his voice laced with caution. "A crisis already exists," Ibrahim responded coolly. "Trump has unofficially declared war on Africa. Now, it's time for him to see the consequences." While Trump continued his preparations in Washington, convinced of his imminent victory, Ibrahim and his team in Ouagadougou had a different plan entirely. Ibrahim's intelligence chief, Major Sardo, confirmed that they had intercepted and documented some of Trump's most damning words. "We have recordings of 47 conversations where Trump used offensive language about African leaders," Sardo reported, including one where he referred to them as monkeys in suits. Ibrahim's expression hardened as he listened. "And the destabilization operations. Are the documents ready?" "Yes, sir. Full documentation." Trump personally approved $340 million to overthrow African governments that didn't align with American interests. Ibrahim's voice was unwavering. "This is the moment to expose everything. Let's show the world who Trump really is." Meanwhile, on the Fox News set, Sean Hannity was preparing for what he thought would be the ultimate political showdown. "This is going to be incredible television," he told the producers, unaware that the evening would be remembered as one of the most humiliating moments in American political history. The stage was set for May 29th, 2025. Trump was backstage, adjusting his tie and preparing for a debate he believed would be a cakewalk. Across the world, Ibrahim sat calmly in his office, a briefcase full of damning evidence by his side. As the debate began, Hannity introduced the participants. "Good evening, America," he said. "Tonight, we have a historic confrontation between President Trump and President Ibrahim Traoré over the future of America-Africa relations." The screen split, showing Trump in a luxurious Fox studio and Ibrahim in a simple but dignified presidential setting. Hannity turned to Trump. "Mr. President, many Americans want to know, how do you plan to deal with the growing challenges posed by African leaders who are questioning American authority?" Trump leaned forward, his voice loud and aggressive. It's simple. America first means we don't tolerate disrespect from anyone, especially from countries that depend on our aid. He shot a look at the camera. You need to understand, America determines the world order. Countries like yours exist because we allow them to. Ibrahim remained seated, calm. Interesting perspective, Mr. President. But perhaps we should discuss what you really think of African leaders when you think no one is listening. Trump's face contorted with confusion. What are you talking about? Ibrahim's smile was thin. I'm talking about the call you made last December to President Macron, where you referred to African presidents as monkeys in suits who need to be disciplined. The room fell completely silent. Trump paled, his face draining of color. That's a lie. Trump stammered, his voice rising in panic. Ibrahim's smile widened. Really, Mr. President? He turned to Hannity. Would your producers like to play the recording? I have it right here. The panic in Trump's eyes was unmistakable as he realized what was happening. Hannity's face turned pale as well, his hands shaking. President Traoré, these are very serious allegations. Or Hannity stuttered. Trying to regain control, Ibrahim interrupted, his voice steady. These are not allegations. These are documented facts. Would you like me to play the recording now, or would President Trump prefer to explain first? Trump's hands began to shake as he gestured wildly. Ibrahim, you don't understand the context. I understand perfectly, Ibrahim replied, activating the audio player. The unmistakable voice of Trump echoed through the studio. Emmanuel, these Africans are getting very arrogant, especially this kid from Burkina Faso. They're all monkeys in suits who think they're important. We need to show them who's boss. The room went deathly quiet. Trump's eyes widened in disbelief. That's taken out of context. Trump blurted, his voice wavering. Ibrahim leaned back in his chair. Context? What context justifies racist language about democratically elected leaders? The room was still, frozen in shock, as Trump's voice rang out again. All of Africa should be recolonized. These countries are zoos run by animals. Hannity tried to cut the feed, but it was too late. Ibrahim continued, but there's more. This is a call with President Putin, where you discuss the final solution to the African problem. Trump stood up, visibly panicking. No, turn it off. But the audio played on. Trump's voice echoed again. Vladimir, we need to work together to keep these Africans in their place. Maybe some coordinated operations? Ibrahim remained calm. But there's more. We've verified these recordings with 3 independent agencies, including the FBI. You have just proven to the world that your Africa policy isn't based on legitimate American interests, but on racial hatred disguised as geopolitics. Trump was now sweating profusely, visibly panicking. This is a coup, he shouted. It's an intelligence operation to destroy America. Ibrahim, unshaken, continued. Mr. President, these recordings have been verified. You've just exposed yourself as a white supremacist who uses your position to promote genocide. He now, in a full panic, attempted to change the subject. Let's go to a commercial break. Ibrahim shook his head. No, the world needs to hear everything. He activated another devastating recording, Trump discussing an operation to assassinate African leaders he considered problematic. I need Ibrahim Traoré gone, permanently. Make it look like an accident. Trump's face turned ashen, his eyes wide with panic. Lies, all lies, he screamed, his voice cracking. Ibrahim didn't flinch. Your own generals recorded these meetings, Mr. President. 3 of them have already turned over evidence to Congress. This is treason. Trump slumped back in his chair, his mind unraveling as the truth poured out. This can't be real. It's very real, Ibrahim replied calmly. Just like your words about African racial inferiority in a cabinet meeting. The audience watched, as the President of the United States crumbled before their eyes. Hannity, clearly overwhelmed, managed a final desperate attempt. "Let's end this now, before it gets any worse." But it was too late. Trump had exposed himself as a man who had plotted the genocide of an entire continent, all in the name of maintaining American superiority. The broadcast ended with Trump sobbing uncontrollably, a broken man. In the hours that followed, shockwaves rippled around the globe. The tapes went viral, translated into dozens of languages. Global headlines screamed, "Trump confesses to planning African genocide." Back in Washington, panic broke out. Vice President J.D. Vance called for an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss invoking the 25th Amendment. Trump's confession had sealed his fate. Within days, Trump was politically isolated, his entire cabinet resigning, Congress initiating impeachment, and the world condemning him. Ibrahim Traoré had exposed a modern-day war criminal, saving Africa from a planned genocide. His intelligence, strategy, and moral courage had dismantled an empire of hatred. The world had witnessed the downfall of a man who had underestimated his adversary, and in doing so had changed the course of history forever.